Hello, everybody, and welcome to the second one of today, the second musings. Um, actually, we'll go ahead and go to sleep for a little bit. Oh, actually, as he's sleeping, no, we're already awake. 7:37, 8:07. Forgot to set the alarm. I thought I was doing so good, and I could stop it. Won't stop. And it, no, 8:07. Okay. Anyways, no, we'll finish off trading, then we'll go do some mining, because I still want to get a lot more rails. I really just try to like stock up on supplies for season four, where we'll go and build up an empire in one of the other places. So, anyways, the ideas I was talking about, the different universes, and that was my whole point with like the Texas, California, Colorado things, different universes. So, people that come from different areas don't realize if they're being offensive, not right away. I mean, they might be confused as to why people are upset or judgmental or like, grumpy with them or give them weird looks or whatever. And that's bad because if people don't know, like, then you really can't fault them. And that also is a recipe for disaster too, because then it could just like keep getting worse and bad. I don't know. My point being, the whole Texas thing is like, if you really think about it, my theory is we showed animosity towards them because we were jealous of how wealthy they obviously were, and really anybody. Because when you work at a resort and everybody's out having fun and you're there working, like you don't get to have fun, but yet you got to keep smiling because everybody's like having fun and you got to have fun and like otherwise if you're all grumpy then it's not fun and anyways. Yeah, I mean, we didn't have to like walk around and be like overly joyous. It was just like if someone's acting grumpy or just not, yeah, it didn't bode well. But anyways, my point being is we didn't see all Texans. We only saw the Texans that could afford to go skiing, and so they could afford to travel. They could take the time, the effort, probably get a hotel. Or yeah, definitely get a hotel. I mean, and then yeah, it's so we saw the wealthy Texans. We didn't see the basic, normal, everyday Texans. And so had we seen a lot of them and interacted with them, then maybe, there wouldn't have been such animosity. Then they might have been like, oh, they're people like us. But all we got to see, and actually that's true of all of Buena Vista because it is a resort town. Like, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. We're going to go mine. But so, because there's a bunch of whitewater river rafting in the summer, and that's like the main economy there. And then, of course, if you did like restaurants or other stuff, and then they shopped and ate there. But like our summers were just overloaded with people, tourists wanting to river raft. And then same with like the middle of winter. So we had like 2 seasons of like busy. Anyways, my point being is we only really interacted a lot with ourselves, and that's why like small town people are a lot more accountable because you can't really lie and get away with it in a small town. Like you don't even have to worry about the cops finding out you did something wrong. Everybody in that whole town already knows you did something wrong. Like I mean, it depends on what it is too. It's very vague, but like if someone's slipping up and like doing a lot of drugs or something, like yeah, then like people start talking, or if someone's drinking too much, equally scary. Um, in fact, there is a lot of depression and drinking up there, which is why I'm so excited about the mushroom news. Is like now that they legalized Zoe and it's been proven to cure depression, cure. Well, at least treat it for 6 months to a year with one dose and one treatment. And it's not just doing the mushrooms. Like I think you actually go to the clinic. I mean, I don't know, and they're just starting this out. We just voted on it recently, and they even said it'd be about like 2 years before it was actually going to happen. But basically, it's going to be clinics, and those clinics. Let's see, should we mine? Sorry, I was just thinking like we've kind of mined out a lot down that area. Let's go back to the secondary area, and now we have the sign for that. Because I was just afraid of losing those spawners. Because I mean, it's one tunnel, and I've actually marked a few tunnels like this with just double torches over there because they had the warden area. But anyways, no, my point being is like different universes. So you could have animosity because you don't understand that that's just what they're used to. That's their caliber of living or their frame of reference. And I'm not saying it's right, but I'm saying we need to work to a point to where everybody's frame of reference is the same. And I'm not just talking about everybody in America. I'm talking about like the world. So And once we get to that, then you don't have to worry about. I mean, there'll still be people that will try to steal. I mean, that's just kind of human nature. And, the younger people trying to figure out life, the prefrontal cortex isn't fully developed, so your mid to late 20s. Um, and all of these things. It's like, kids will be kids. They're dumb. They got to experiment sometimes, and especially if they're trying to prove themselves to a lady, like, oh, I want to, I mean, it's human instinct to try to impress a mate. And then, of course, like if you don't like the ladies, then, then it's an even a whole different thing. I don't even know. That's like a whole nother dynamic, like homosexual day or LGBT. I don't like saying LGBTQ because that's not really like for mating. That's like, for love, for being partners or something. And that's completely different. Whereas mating, you're trying to like, it's the natural basic, and not saying that LGBTQ, if they adopt or anything, they're not like good with the nurturing or anything. No, definitely not. Like they still have all those same instincts of like protection, guardianship, like, yeah, they're people. And again, you're not giving them enough credit for what they are. Is what it really boils down to. And that's why I hate, organized religion and the devil, is because it's like, Bobby Boucher, the devil. No, seriously, it's because you're giving a lot of credit to something that doesn't exist. And okay, if the devil does end up existing, my bad, I'll apologize. But like, given what we know, the devil is ignorance. The devil is not knowing enough information to make an informed decision or actually be helpful in a situation. Thus, a bad situation ensues. Like, a devil is believing, oh, the bubonic plague wiped out like a third of the whole world. Like, granted, COVID was pretty bad, but I wouldn't say it was the devil. And, it's like, in this day and age, like a devil doing that, no, it's just, and even that, a lot of those deaths happen because people are just so skeptical about it because of our mistrust in each other and our lack of faith in each other. So it's like, we just think everybody else is just dumb, lazy, and doesn't, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Oh. So that's exactly, and I haven't thought, like, maybe that's a different, this is a geode. This is what a geode looks like. Oh, it's a partial one. So, and in real life, geodes are rocks where minerals form inside them. Usually it's like water with cave water with a bunch of minerals in it, like seeps in over time, and then the crystals build up within them. So, and it kind of looks like this. You open it up and it's like, yeah, oh, geodes are awesome. But anyways, yeah, let's take all these. I got silk touch on this thing. Oops. You gotta hit them though. See how I was like, there we go. I don't even know if this is worth anything. Like, if nothing else, we can decorate with them later. But anyways, sorry, I've kind of forgot what I was talking about before that. But basically, the different universe thing. So even like, let's say California. So people that live in California, generally, not all, are used to a different standard of things. So, and that standard kind of places I don't know how to say this, but, well, okay, so Boulder. Like, the differences between Boulder and Fort Collins, and granted, it's not as black and white or day and night as that, and if anything, that's a whole binary bias idea that I was talking about. It's like, just because one, and I've heard it as like a straw man or called even something else, but it's basically like, or straw man actually kind of makes sense if, and I don't even know if this is correct, but if you think of it in the like, there are only so many options, it has to be one, and that, yeah, oh, whoops. Okay, whatever. Now we're breaking them. So that gave me like shards. Yeah, see that? Amethyst shard. Or you get the cluster if you use the silk touch. But then when you break them, you get the shard. Which that actually, you have to break them to make the telescopes. But anyways, now, what was I saying? Oh no, straw man. Like, there's only so many options and it has to be one. So if it's not one, then it has to be the other. That does make a lot of sense. But I say binary bias because it's like black and white. Like, it's usually only like two choices, but straw man, I guess, is a more scalable way to think about it, to where you can have two or more options, but the point being a finite set of options and no other option exists. Because that is like, sorry, it's weird because you got that, you got the calcite, and then you have the whatever this is. But, and I think you can find this in the nether. What is this even? What is it called? Smooth basalt. Yeah. I think even if you don't find it in the nether, I think you can make smooth basalt out of basalt from the nether. So, anyways, My point being is like politics. Unfortunately, our politics is binary. It is either one or the other. And yes, there is the Libertarian Party and like all these other third parties. And no, it's just a thrown away vote. I'm sorry. I wish it was different, but I learned my lesson because of the whole Hillary thing. Like, I feel like a lot of people were mad at Hillary, and unrightfully so. It was the DNC that did it. And even then, it was like certain people. And even then, I don't know. We don't know the whole story, but what I do know is like, ugh, whether the corruption in politics is real or perceived, I am tired of politics being like hitting the lottery. And I'm also tired of seeing only wealthy people compete. And that's changing too. That's why I liked, the idea of AOC, being a bartender and then like being a politician. Like, it's meaning that, oh, even I could do it or something. Like, not saying, all bartenders are dumb. In fact, quite the opposite. One of the guys on Jeopardy, wicked smart. Like, he won a ton of games. Oh, anyways, my point being, he was a bartender. And then before that, he was an Uber driver. So, granted, these social jobs where you talk to people, and you talk to people inebriated, and you talk to people on drugs, and then you talk to people on religion, and then you talk to, all of these things. Well, okay, maybe not religion so much, but being a bartender, you start to see a lot of like inside looks into people's psychological and behavioral attributes. Like, and I know that because I used to hang out in bars a lot. So it's like, I used to love to go play pool, like for days and days at a time. It's just simple things, thinking through things. I don't know. And I haven't really improved much. I mean, the drinking, yeah. I mean, I haven't drank be 4 years on New Year's, so we're at like 3.5 years now. But I'm really not like counting, like white knuckling it. It's like, and I'm not saying that's wrong. And for the people that do, like, I'm all supportive of that. But I always thought that like AA was more of like the pressure and the anxiety from it and going to the meetings actually caused more problems of alcoholism. And I hate the word alcoholism too, because it's like nobody handles it well. It's like, you know, there's a reason we understand that you need moderation with alcohol. And like, I don't know. It was just, and what was cool is like my church, we did grape juice instead of wine for communion. And I think that's the reason, because there's so many recovering alcoholics or people that realize alcohol doesn't work for them. Or it was so boring up in the mountains not having anything to do that people just got drunk a lot. And there's something to that too. City folk are less likely to abuse alcohol to the blackout point. I mean, it happens, but less likely, I would say, because they have other things. They could go to see a movie, or go to a mall, or actually, wait, that's kind of, There used to be a day when I'd find diorite and I would just mine all of it because I was building those mob grinders and I like to make it out of diorite. I don't know why. It looks cool, all smooth and everything, just like, but anyways. I can't really build one out of amethyst. This stuff is rare, contrary to what you may believe seeing these videos, because now I've found 2 geodes from the same mining area in like the same week or two. So, anyways, back to different universes. My point with all that is like our frames of reference are different. So what constitutes normal, what constitutes wealthy, and what constitutes poor are all different. So like, I don't know. And that's why I love South Park. South Park's just great at even explaining that too. I mean, the difference between like Denver, small town, I don't know. But the frame of reference is important because if you're going to try to problem solve on a national level, you need to be able to problem solve for every variant in between. And no, I mean, variant might be a trigger word for people because of the whole COVID thing. Like, oh, enough, or like, oh, no, or whatever it may be. And again, not trying to belittle one way or the other. I mean, I was hesitant about the vax for a while, but then I got it because, yeah. I got it because I got a lot of vaccines in my life. And these ones, granted, I was a little worried once like people started getting sick. See, I didn't hear that until after I'd already gotten it. I was like, wait a minute, what? It's like, but I mean, but then once I found out like what it was, I was like, oh, okay. But like, there's a chance you could get hit by lightning or a bus. I mean, less likely now, I hope. But anyways, my point being, or did I have a point with that? Are we? Oh yeah, we're dropping off the stuff. It was amethyst. I mean, we're almost full up, but yeah. Anyways, no, the frame of reference is important because you can't really effectively problem solve unless you fully understand the problem. If you don't fully understand the problem, then there's a greater chance of you creating more problems. And that was the point. We were talking about prohibition and all of that. Like, even if you never smoke weed in your life, just the fact that we demonize it and we put people in jail for it. And then when I say weed, I mean all drugs because nonviolent offenses, when you add people like that to prison or jails, then they get better. They learn. It's you're manufacturing people that can commit better crimes or worse crimes. Sorry, I mean, not trying to like glorify it or anything. And then we act surprised when, crime increases. Oh, that's because your solution isn't a great solution. It's a solution. I mean, I'm not denying that it works. Like a lot of people become reformed. But what about the people that, it's a different threat to them? Like they already live in a crap hole. Like, oh, I gotta stay here. Actually, I get free food here. Like I'm gonna go stab someone else. Like, no, it's just until we improve the quality of life for the lowest of classes, we're going to have these issues. We're going to have wealth inequalities. We're going to have crime. We're going to have people thinking that they deserve something, and then they'll go take it. Like, go take that loaf of bread, Jean Valjean, or go take Ukraine, Putin. Like, I'm just kidding. Like, all these people think. And by the way, let's talk about that real quick. I mean, yes, the Ukraine thing, it's horrible. I was watching, I think it's Jesse Ventura, the guy that does a bunch of the conspiracy theories and stuff. And granted, he was like shaking and like really anxious and like he's letting it get to him, which is unhealthy. But I mean, yes, be concerned. Keep an eye out for what's going on. But you gotta breathe. You gotta relax sometimes. I mean, just know one thing: you're not gonna solve everything overnight, and two, it's not gonna directly come out and kill you like to your doorstep. For the most part, I mean, I don't know. You hear those stories about people that develop like the hydrogen fuel or the water fueled engines that run for free, and they get killed. And it's like, ooh. But I mean, South Park made a whole episode on how 9/11 was faked. So it's like they got the boldness. Um, let's see. Let's at least get our stack back, and then, oops. There we go. Yeah. Oh no. Oh, okay. Come on. I actually changed my mind about that. I wanted to keep the stack, do these, and then, yeah. Oh, whoops. Okay. Um, yeah, no, it's problem solving. There is no one size fits all solution. It's a little bold to say. There might be. I mean, there is a one size fits all solution. Nuke the lizards. Like, if we did a factory reset, but that's not a solution in my eyes. That's like, so that's one of the times where the solution actually introduces more problems. So, and then yeah, there are trade-offs. There are times where people will make a compromise, be like, how much risk is acceptable risk? And that's very true in cybersecurity because to have a really robust security system, you need to invest quite a bit into it. I mean, you either need to have a security team, a dedicated team of people that their whole job is to make sure that you have security. And even then, they need tools, so then there's expenses. But if you can't afford a whole security team, like most businesses, then you have to have like your IT team handle the security, and then they got to train. And so that is still expenses because they got to learn all that stuff, and it doesn't come easy. I mean, it's work, but generally people that are already in IT, they still have to have like a computer science background for the most part. So, I mean, because that's what my degree was actually tailored for. Like, it was more for. Wait, where's this stuff? Smooth basalt. There we go. Maybe it is from the Nether, or maybe this is just what I brought back recently. But that's right, we have some diorite. Anyways, it's expensive to train people because you have to pay for the education, you have to pay them for their time, like all of these costs. Yeah, but people are learning this. They're learning it younger. They're learning more. I mean, I'm hopeful for the future. Just like my economics professor would be like, "Well, I'm a cheerleader for economic growth. As long as it's going, like, yeah, I'm happy." Like, that's the same with me. Like, as long as we're still getting better as a society, then good. I mean, we're having our setbacks, but again, even that, are they really setbacks, or are just more things coming to life that we need to address? And then it's like, oh, okay, we're not quite there. I don't know, like this whole, you know, the whole Trump getting arrested thing today. I was like, I don't care how you feel about that. Just the idea of a president like seeing the inside of a jail cell. I say that because I remember I have this side by side video. And granted, I voted for Biden. I support the guy, but it's a side by side video of him talking about it back when he was a younger politician. He was bragging about a bill that he did. I don't think he actually did it, but he voted for it. He said, "We did, or we put this through. We'll make it to where you get 5 years in prison for a piece of crack the size of a quarter, no bigger than a quarter." And he even said it just like that, for a piece of crack, no bigger than this quarter. And all the while he's saying that on the left, here's the video of his son smoking crack on the right. And it shows it with all this stuff. And I'm not trying to like mock him or say that, okay, put your son in jail. I'm trying to say, hey, yeah, either put your son in jail or walk back that ridiculous 5 years in prison. I mean, yes, I'm not saying like people should be smoking crack. That's a horrible thing. And it's like, back when I used to joke about, oh, they're a crackhead. Like that was really like the most offensive thing as far as a drug thing. You could call people like, stop being a crackhead. Or it wasn't a favorable thing to do. People weren't proud about that. And for a reason. I mean, it's very, like it could be, well, because you could spend 5 years in prison. Like, I don't know anybody that actually has spent 5 years in prison for crack. I don't know anybody who's been in prison for, well, maybe it was part of it. But no, basically, think about that. It's 5 birthdays, 5 Christmases, 5 fourths of July, 5 Halloweens, 5 Easters, it's a college degree in a cell, in a box. And that's it. You just sit in prison. You don't do anything. You don't contribute to society unless they have some slave labor for you. Like I know back in Buena Vista, we had an auto body shop, and you could get your car fixed for free, just the price of the parts. And granted, it was great for me, but now, like as I'm older, I'm just like, ooh, I don't know if I like that. Or at least if like they got treated better, if they got paid an actual wage, like then I'd be okay with it. Or at least like an intern or something. But like a quarter a day or $1 a day, no, that is slave labor. And it's because, like, there's not much to do in jail or prison, but just think about if you were actually sending money to your family while you were in jail. Like, because that's what a lot of the hardship is like the man that was doing all the work, and the women too. Sorry, there's women in prison too, but a lot less. Anyways, like here in Colorado, we have DRDC for women's, which is like, I want to say there's only like 2 women's prisons, and I could be wrong. I think there's only like 2 in Colorado, but there's tons for guys. But then again, I feel like we take the world's most dangerous criminals and put them right in Colorado. So we have those maximum security prisons like down in, I forget where, but yeah, we do. We house some of the world's like worst criminals right here in Colorado. So we got guns, we got legal marijuana, we got mushrooms now. Like, I'm just kidding. Like, just saying those in the same sentence is probably a bad idea. But yeah, we also know how to take care of, well, not really. I mean, corrections and law enforcement. We're a very law enforcement and corrections heavy state. But that's also why we kind of see why it stinks and it needs to go and we need to fix it. But I don't know. My whole point with all that is prisons are bad. I mean, that's why I'm hoping that they get like more computers in there. I did hear something that like they have network training, so you could get Cisco network certified to work on like networks and systems. So that's really cool. Also means there's a lot of, people with felonies in the IT world. But I mean, just like the whole ADD, ADHD thing, like I think that's really just people that use tech more than others tend to have their attention span diverted. And I've noticed this with even, my coworkers, like, and everybody I've worked with in like the tech world, like that's how they are. I mean, they're very scatterbrained. We are very scatterbrained. I'm in this too, if you couldn't tell from all these videos. No, but we're very scatterbrained, but at a moment's notice, we can pull up things like completely random or irrelevant facts and troubleshooting tips just give us a couple seconds. We'll be like, oh wait, no, you do this with this, and oh wait, did you try this? And just because we've seen and experienced so many things, so many problems, and so many ways to solve them. Even as I say that stuff like that, it's like I got a problem solver by the name of Revolver, like or whatever that lyric is from that rap song. But and that is one way to solve a problem. It introduces a lot more problems, but yeah, and it's a solution. But no, death is never the solution. It shouldn't ever be because yeah, it's there is no coming back from that. However, just about anything else you can kind of come back from. Like I'd be interested to see. Um, Actually, I don't know. I'd be interested to see if they're going to use mushrooms on like sex offenders and see if it really reprograms them because I don't know whether you're born with that kind of desire or whether it comes by later. I don't know. It's I mean, it's definitely an undesired behavior, but my point is like I feel like there's two real reasons for it. Either you're born with it like that, or you're forced into that by lack of opportunity, lack of outlet, lack of whatever. And that's why I say like prostitution should be legalized. We shouldn't call it prostitution. We should just call it adult sex work. Like because an emphasis on adult. Because I'm not saying I'm still in the favor of we raise the age of adulthood to like 25. I mean, because seriously, like 18-year-olds are not your prefrontal cortex isn't fully developed, and let's ship you off to war and have you go kill some people before you really know what you're doing. And that's just, and I know it sounds super unpatriotic, but I do. I have friends that went over to the Iraq War. This was a point I was making earlier, like the whole like, yeah, Ukraine's bad, but did you know that we killed like almost 200,000 civilians in 20 years? It's 20 years, so if you expense that over time, that's only about like 10,000 people a year. But still, think about that 10,000 people. And I don't know if that's a real fact. I think I remember reading that the figures were like 800 total, 800,000 people total died in the Iraq War. 175,000 were civilians. And like, I, I don't know how many, but, and really not a lot on our side, and a lot more of, the Taliban and like the aggressors. But really, I say the aggressors, but the people defending their homes. And remember, our country was split 50-50 on that. Like half of our country did not want to be there. The other half did. So we were all mad. I mean, but then like a lot of us were kind of like, wait, this doesn't really add up. And again, South Park put out that video about 9/11. Is like, just how ridiculous the story sounds. But and even if it is true, and then you find out later that like Osama bin Laden was like supposedly a CIA agent, or he had been trained by the CIA at some point, or had some kind of involvement with our government. And then it's like, huh, well, maybe they kept his number, like, not saying that I don't support my country. Like, if they did that, then it's just an embarrassing thing on our country that we need to own up to and be like, you know what? Hey, we lied. Sorry. It won't happen again. I mean, I don't know. But that's the same with like England and India. They're like that. And that's just India. I don't know where else, like, could have been better off if England never visited, or maybe because England visited, they're as well off as they are. I don't know. It's all kind of irrelevant because, like I said, we're all getting to the same point of tech. Everybody has tech. Everybody has better lives. We're going to start fixing things. We're going to start making things more efficient. And okay, so real quick, this is why I'm so optimistic about that. The ocean cleanup. I was reading an article the other day from that. Ocean Cleanup is a company that cleans the oceans. There's also 4Ocean. That's a couple of surfers that started that company to clean up the oceans. Either way, two really great companies. Ocean Cleanup is actually like a massive. It's much bigger than 4Ocean. I'm not saying the other one's not important, but like Ocean Cleanup, they've got like whole. Well, anyways, whatever. It doesn't matter what they have. The facts that they were saying is like 99% of the plastic waste doesn't come from like America and the developed nations, or the more developed nations, I think it was. It was like, or some like 90% is not from like America, which I kind of found it hard to believe. I thought at least like half of it was just America. I mean, because we have so much plastic. But it's because places are getting all this plastic and getting these economies, but they don't have the infrastructure to handle it. Like they don't dispose of it properly. Because at least like we might not recycle all of it, but at least it makes it to a landfill or something, or wherever it ends up, it doesn't end up in the oceans, basically. Because even as I say that, I'm like, nah, wait a minute. I found a lot of litter, out. And it drives me nuts because when I was growing up and we were very one with the mountain, like if you saw a piece of trash out, you just got mad. You're like, how dare you? Like, this is sacred land. Like, it's like you walk into a church and just spit on the pews. Like, oh, there's my alarm. Or you go into a temple and you throw a yarmulke on the ground and spit on it. Like that's basically what it feels like when you see someone drop a candy wrapper in the mountains. Like, oh, you just want to go like smack them, but violence is wrong. Anyways, no. That's actually probably a good place to stop. I might do some Elden Ring. I gotta go clean up, do some cleaning, do some stuff, maybe eat some dinner. But anyways, that was fun. We went on a ride. I still don't even know what we're even covering with these ones. So yeah, we mined a little. We harvested some. We traded. Oh nope. That one I think glitched back into the. I don't know. That's one cool thing is like about the glitches. Sometimes it actually prevents something bad. But anyways, um, that's my time for the second one. There might be more, might not. But until then, have a good day. And yeah, just try to be nice to each other. Now, I'm not going to do the cheesy things. All right, have a good one. Bye.